The last ember. Commander Elena Reyes drifted in the darkness of space, her escape pod tumbling silently through the void. The emergency lights bathed her unconscious form in a pulsing crimson glow, each flash illuminating the gash on her forehead where blood had dried in rivulets down her face. Pain dragged her back to consciousness, a small mercy compared to what waited in her memories. "Status report," she croaked, her throat raw from screaming orders that now seemed a lifetime ago. "Commander Reyes, you have been unconscious for 37 hours, responded the calm voice of Araya. Her pod's AI system. Pod integrity at 78%. Life support at 43%. Estimated operational time: 6 days, 14 hours. Elena's eyes adjusted to the dim light as fragments of memory reassembled themselves with brutal clarity. The galactic hegemony, a coalition of 12 advanced civilizations, had appeared without warning in Earth's orbit. Their message was brief. Humanity represents an unacceptable future risk. Containment is not possible. Elimination is necessary. What followed was not a war, but an extermination. Earth's defenses, impressive by human standards, had been swept aside like cobwebs. Major cities were targeted first, then military installations, then everything else. Elena remembered the final transmission from Central Command, General Santos' face illuminated by explosions, her voice steady despite the chaos. "All surviving units, implement Protocol Phoenix. I repeat, implement Protocol Phoenix. Preserve what remains of humanity at all costs. ARIA, run a complete scan for human signals, all frequencies, all channels." The small display flickered to life, showing a representation of the solar system. Elena watched as the scan expanded outward. Earth, Mars colony, the mining operations in the asteroid belt, the research stations on Europa and Titan, the deep space outposts, all marked with the same cold designation. No signals detected. "Expand search parameters," Elena whispered. "Maximum range." The display zoomed out, scanning across hundreds of light years. Nothing. Based on available data, I calculate a 99.93% probability that no other human life signs exist within scannable range, Araya stated. Elena's hand moved unconsciously to the small medal at her neck, her brother's Medal of Valor, given to her before her last deployment. She had promised to return it when they met again. Now, there was no one to return it to. "Why?" she asked, the question directed at the vast emptiness surrounding her. Why exterminate an entire species? Analysis of intercepted hegemony communications suggests they viewed humanity as an evolutionary anomaly. ARIA responded. "Our adaptive capacity, technological progression rate, and behavioral unpredictability were classified as an existential threat to galactic stability." Elena laughed bitterly. "So they killed us because we might become dangerous someday." "Correct. Hegemony doctrine emphasizes preventative action against potential threats." A warning light flashed on the console. The pod had detected movement nearby. "Hegemony patrol vessel approaching," Araya reported. "Current trajectory suggests they have not detected us." Elena watched as the sleek alien ship glided past on the monitor, its organic design contrasting with the angular human vessels she had commanded. The hegemony's technological superiority had made the war, if it could even be called that, mercifully short for most of humanity. "Nearest settlement detected," ARIA continued. "Preliminary scan indicates a small hegemony outpost. Minimal defenses. Estimated population: 24 individuals." An idea began to form in Elena's mind. A desperate, possibly suicidal idea. But she had nothing left to lose. "ARIA, what supplies do we have on board?" "Standard emergency rations for 12 days, 1 sidearm with 2 energy cells, medical kit, emergency beacon currently deactivated, and..." ARIA paused. "Commander, I should inform you that this pod was equipped with special cargo under Protocol Phoenix." Elena frowned. "What cargo?" a military-grade neural interface, and a complete copy of Earth's strategic defense network systems. Her hands trembled as she accessed the hidden compartment. Inside lay a sleek device, smaller than her palm but containing the collective military knowledge of humanity. With it, she could directly access Aria's vast capabilities and Earth's military databases. "This isn't standard evacuation protocol," she said. "Correct. Your pod was specifically selected. General Santos authorized the modification personally." "Why me?" "Your psychological profile indicated the highest probability of successful integration. Your tactical scores ranked in the 99th percentile, and you demonstrated exceptional adaptive thinking during the Callisto incident." The Callisto incident, 2 years ago, when her small patrol vessel had encountered a hegemony scout ship near Jupiter's moon. She had managed to disable the alien craft without casualties on either side, preventing what might have been first contact through conflict. The irony wasn't lost on her now. Elena's fingers closed around the neural interface, the decision crystallizing in her mind with perfect clarity. "They should have made sure," she whispered, positioning the device at the base of her skull, where a small port had been surgically installed years ago for emergency battlefield communications. "They should have made absolutely sure." The neural link clicked into place. For a moment, nothing happened. Then pain exploded behind her eyes as information flooded her consciousness. Tactical databases, strategic analyses, weapon specifications, hegemony intelligence reports, star charts, combat protocols. Aria was integrating directly with her nervous system. When the initial surge subsided, Elena felt different. Her thoughts moved faster. The pod systems responded to her mental commands without physical input. Integration successful. Aria's voice now seemed to come from inside her head. Neural efficiency at 84% and climbing. Elena turned her attention to the nearby hegemony outpost. Through Aria, she could access its communications, understand its defenses, predict patrol patterns. What had seemed impossible moments ago now presented clear pathways. They had destroyed her world, killed everyone she loved, left her with nothing. But they had made one critical mistake. They had left one human alive. 6 months later, the small hegemony outpost on Proxima IV was in chaos. Their communications hub had been destroyed. Defense systems had mysteriously failed, and supplies had vanished. Most disturbing was the message left behind on every functioning screen. "Remember Earth." Similar incidents were reported across 3 sectors of hegemony space. Small outposts, research stations, and patrol ships all targeted with surgical precision. No casualties, just critical systems disabled, data stolen, and always the same message. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Hegemony Council, representatives from the 12 most powerful species in known space gathered in emergency session. The chamber hummed with tension as Admiral Vexus, Supreme Commander of Hegemony Forces, addressed the council. Another attack. The Admiral's scaled skin flushed deep crimson with agitation. "This is the 7th installation this cycle. How is this possible?" Councillor Mira, representing the Elloran Dominion, pushed a data tablet across the smooth crystalline table. "The targeting is precise. Minimal casualties. Whoever is doing this isn't interested in bloodshed. They want to disable our military capacity and steal information." "Separatists," suggested Councillor Huygen, her translucent skin revealing the network of glowing veins beneath. "The outer rim worlds have been growing restless." Admiral Vexus's upper eyes narrowed. "No, I've analyzed the attack patterns personally." He activated a holographic display showing complex tactical maneuvers. The approach vectors, the timing of the strikes, the methods of bypassing security. They'd match human military doctrine. Silence fell over the council. "Humans are extinct," stated Councillor Xio flatly. "We confirm the elimination of all colonies and outposts. The species is gone." "Then who," demanded Vexus, "could replicate their tactics so perfectly?" Outside the chamber, rumors spread through hegemony space. Soldiers whispered about a ghost in the system. Security officers reported seeing the same text message appear before attacks. Remember Earth. On the other side of the sector, hidden within a dense asteroid field that scrambled sensor readings, Alina Reyes stood before her unlikely allies. The cramped space of an abandoned mining outpost had been transformed into a functional command center. The neural interface at the base of her skull had become like another part of her body. Through AI, she could process information at incredible speeds, accessing Earth's military knowledge while maintaining her human intuition and creativity, a combination that made her unpredictable in ways pure machine intelligence could never match. The raid on Outpost Zeta was successful. She announced to the assembled group, "We've acquired the quantum encryption codes for the entire 7th Fleet." Her audience would have been unimaginable a year ago. 6 different alien species, all gathered around her. Some had opposed humanity's extinction on moral grounds. Others had been subjugated by the hegemony and saw in Alina a chance for freedom. Callow, a Vesperian whose kitten exoskeleton gleamed under the lights, stepped forward. "The hegemony has doubled security at all remaining weapons facilities. They're deploying quantum detection grids." Alina nodded. "We expected this. The increased security works to our advantage. They're pulling resources from other sectors, creating vulnerabilities we can exploit." Churi, a towering insectoid with compound eyes that reflected the holographic light in faceted patterns, clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "One human against a galaxy," he observed. "The odds are impossible, Commander Reyes." Alina looked around at her ragtag coalition. 6 months ago, she had been alone in a damaged escape pod, the last survivor of a doomed species. Now she commanded a small but growing resistance. "Impossible odds," Alina said, a grim smile spreading across her face, "is where humans thrive." The rising flame. Admiral Vexus stood motionless before the viewport of his flagship, the Inexorable, watching the swirling nebula gases beyond. His scaled hands were clasped tightly behind his back, betraying the only visible sign of his frustration. Behind him, his senior officers waited in tense silence. 12 months, he finally said, his voice dangerously soft. 12 months since the first attack, and this ghost continues to elude us. He turned to face his command staff. "Show me the latest." A holographic display activated, showing the wreckage of a hegemony research station. The facility had been systematically stripped of all valuable technology, its defense systems disabled with surgical precision. "Same pattern as the others," reported Commander Zenith, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Security protocols bypassed, critical data extracted, systems disabled rather than destroyed." The message was different this time, however. The display changed to show text floating against a black background. "They feared what we might become. You're about to find out why." "This is more than simple revenge," observed Science Director Lyrene, her bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with agitation. "The attacks are becoming more sophisticated, more coordinated, and there are reports of defections. Hegemony citizens abandoning their posts to join this resistance." Admiral Vexus's jaw tightened. "How many species are involved now?" "Confirmed participation from at least 14 different species," Zenith replied. "Primarily those who oppose the human extinction protocol, or those from subjugated worlds." "And the leader?" Vexus demanded. "All evidence continues to suggest a human survivor," Lyrene said, "though how a single human could accomplish." "The prototype," Vexus interrupted, his scales darkening. "The Human Neural Interface Project. The one we discovered in their research facilities." Silence fell over the command room. "But that technology was experimental," Zenith protested. "The humans had only achieved limited success in direct neural AI integration. Their systems were crude, unstable. And we improved upon it," Vexus said coldly. "After studying their designs, our scientists enhanced the technology. If a human survivor recovered both the interface and an advanced AI." He didn't need to finish the thought. The implications were clear and disturbing. "Find this human," Vexus commanded. "Whatever resources you need. I want them captured alive. I want to understand how they've accomplished this." In the expanded base of what was now openly called the Alliance of Free Worlds, Alina Reyes disconnected from her tactical interface. She winced as the neural link retracted from her skull, leaving a dull ache that never fully subsided these days. Small price to pay, she reminded herself. The base had grown considerably over the past year. What began as a small outpost now housed over 500 individuals from 23 different species, all either refugees from hegemony oppression or defectors who opposed the genocide of humanity. The cavernous main chamber hummed with activity as technicians monitored systems and analyzed intelligence. Alina rolled her shoulders, trying to ease the tension. The neural interface allowed her to process information at incredible speeds and control complex systems remotely, but the human body wasn't designed for such connection. Each session left her more exhausted than the last. "You should rest," said Callow, her Vesperian second in command, his compound eyes reflecting concern. "Later," she replied. "What's our status?" "The Eclipse operation was a complete success," Callow reported, "and the team has returned from Research Station 17. Alina's exhaustion faded instantly. "They got it." Callow's mandibles clicked in his species equivalent of a smile. "See for yourself." He led her to the adjacent laboratory, where several figures clustered around a workbench. They parted as Alina approached, revealing a sleek device pulsing with a subtle blue light. Sano, a former hegemony engineer who had defected 8 months ago, looked up from his analysis. "Commander," he greeted her, voice filled with barely contained excitement. "It's even more advanced than the intelligence suggested." "Will it work?" Alina asked. Sano nodded. "This prototype was developed from technology the hegemony recovered from human research facilities. Ironic that they improved the very technology that will now be used against them." He pointed to various components as he explained. "This will allow direct interface with any hegemony vessel. Their ship systems won't recognize the intrusion because the quantum signature registers as authorized command-level access." From the other side of the lab, Yara looked up from her terminal. The small feathered scientist had been one of the first to join Alina's resistance. "Commander, there's something you should know," Yara said, her voice carrying a musical quality even when worried. "The hegemony has assigned Admiral Vexus himself to hunt us down." A murmur ran through the gathered rebels. Even among those who had limited knowledge of hegemony military affairs, Vexus's reputation was legendary. "He commanded the final assault on Earth," Yara continued. "He's never failed to complete a mission." Alina's expression darkened at the mention of Earth. She felt ARIA stir in her mind, providing tactical data on Admiral Vexus unbidden. His service record, battle strategies, psychological profile. The room fell silent, everyone watching her reaction. They had come to believe in her, the last human fighting against impossible odds. But even she couldn't defeat the hegemony's most accomplished military leader. Alina studied the worried faces around her. In their diversity, she saw what the hegemony feared: different species united by common cause, rather than dominated by hierarchical control. What had begun as her personal mission of vengeance had evolved into something greater, a movement for freedom. After a moment of contemplation, she made her decision. "Callow, prepare the communication array," she ordered. "Full spectrum broadcast." "Commander," Callow questioned. "That will reveal our location." "I'm counting on it," Alina replied. It's time the hegemony stopped chasing shadows. 20 minutes later, Alina stood before the broadcast terminal. The resistance members gathered behind her, tension evident in their postures. With a mental command to ARIA, she activated the system. "This message will transmit across every hegemony channel," she told them. "Every military band, civilian network, and emergency frequency. For 30 seconds, we become visible." She turned to face the broadcaster, the red light indicating it was live. "People of the galactic hegemony," she began, her voice steady. I am Commander Elena Reyes of Earth. Your leaders told you that humanity was extinct, that we were too dangerous to exist alongside your perfect order. They were wrong about many things." She paused, letting her words sink in across 1,000 worlds. "You should have killed us all or none at all," she continued, "because in leaving even one human alive, you ensured your greatest fear would come true. Look around you. See how many within your own ranks question the genocide of an entire species. Your hegemony is fracturing from within." She leaned closer to the broadcaster, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. "Admiral Vexus, I know you're listening. You commanded the ships that burned Earth. Come find me. Let's finish what your hegemony started." The broadcast cut off. For a moment, complete silence filled the command center. "They'll come for us now," Turi said, breaking the silence. "The full might of the hegemony." "Good," Elena replied. "Let them come." The response from the hegemony was swift. Within hours, an emergency broadcast interrupted all communications throughout hegemony space. For the first time, the coalition's leadership officially acknowledged the existence of a human survivor. They placed a bounty on the last human, so enormous it could purchase a small planet. But something unexpected happened. As news of the confirmed human survivor spread, so did questions. Species that had remained neutral during the extinction campaign began to openly condemn the hegemony's actions. Within the coalition itself, protests erupted on worlds where the genocide had been unpopular. The legend of the Ghost of Earth was no longer just a story of vengeance. It had become a symbol of resistance against tyranny. 3 days later, Admiral Vexus's flagship Inexorable led a fleet of 100 vessels into the asteroid field where Elena's broadcast had originated. What they found wasn't a hidden base but an ambush. Dozens of smaller ships emerged from the dense field, equipped with the prototype technology the Resistance had stolen. Elena, connected to HFY and the new interface system, stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship Phoenix, once a proud hegemony destroyer. Through the neural connection, she could simultaneously coordinate the movements of 20 ships, using tactics and strategies no single commander could manage. The battle was fierce but brief. Alliance vessels penetrated hegemony ship defenses with ease, their systems recognizing the intruders as friendlies due to the stolen quantum signatures. One by one, the mighty hegemony vessels were disabled, their crews evacuated before their systems were locked down. Only the Inexorable remained, surrounded by Alliance ships. "Surrender, Admiral," Elena broadcast to the flagship. "Your fleet is defeated. Your crew will be spared." "This changes nothing, human," came Vexus' response. "The hegemony spans thousands of worlds. You've won a single battle, nothing more." "You're wrong," Elena replied. "Access your secure archives. File designation case 7734. There was a long pause before Vexus responded, his voice noticeably less confident. "How do you know about that file?" "The prophecy," Elena said simply. "The real reason you feared humanity. The prediction that we would unite the species of the galaxy under principles of self-determination rather than hierarchy. That's why you ordered our extinction, not because we were violent or dangerous, but because our very existence threatened your power structure." On the bridge of the Phoenix, Elena stood surrounded by beings from 24 different species, all working together despite vast biological and cultural differences. The very scene the hegemony had feared. "Your seers were right," Elena continued. "But in trying to prevent their prophecy, you've accelerated it. Look around you, Admiral. Look at who stands with me. The Alliance already controls 37 systems, and more join us each day. Your heavy-handed response to our resistance has only fueled the fires of rebellion across the galaxy." "So what now, Commander Reyes?" Vexus asked, his tone bitter. "Total war until the hegemony falls. More bloodshed. How does that honor your dead?" "No," Elena replied. "That's where you still don't understand us, Admiral. Humanity's strength wasn't our capacity for violence. It was our capacity for cooperation, for bringing different perspectives together. I don't want to destroy the hegemony. I want to transform it. She paused, then continued with firm resolve. The Alliance of Free Worlds offers terms: immediate cessation of all hostilities, recognition of all Alliance territories as sovereign, and the establishment of an intergalactic council where all species have equal representation. In return, we will share all our technology and resources freely with former hegemony worlds. And if we refuse, Vexus challenged, then we continue this conflict. Alina answered calmly. But you've seen today what a single human with allies can accomplish against your most powerful fleet. Imagine what will happen as our alliance grows. After a long silence, Admiral Vexus responded, his voice resigned. I will convey your terms to the Hegemony Council. As the inexorable retreated, Alina disconnected from the neural interface, the familiar pain washing over her. But this time, it was accompanied by something else. Hope. Callow approached, mandibles clicking in victory. You did it, Commander. The last human has changed the course of galactic history. Alina shook her head, looking around at the diverse crew of the Phoenix. Not the last human, she corrected. The first of something new. They had feared what humanity might become, a unifying force that would challenge their control. In trying to prevent that future, they had created it. One human was all it took to prove them right. The hegemony had left one human alive, and the galaxy would never be the same.